One, two, three. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fergie Time podcast with me and Connor. This is our second episode after we got a good reception on the first. I have to think that really. We got 142 views currently on the first one. You can see it on YouTube. The link will be in the description. Today, because obviously we didn't do one at the weekend, we have got quite a few topics to cover, and we're going to try our best to get through them whilst talking in depth about each one. So, Connor, do you want to kickstart with the Tottenham game, the shambles that it
Oh, the
was?
shambles that was the Tottenham game. It was a weird game, really, wasn't it? Because it was like a game of two halves, which has been, a running theme this season, really. Um, First half, worst I've seen United playing in a long time, and the second half was, we looked like we could beat anyone playing like that, really. But bad start cost us.
Yeah, I have to basically agree with that. First half, absolutely atrocious. I really don't understand why it takes us to concede a couple of goals, need that halftime speech from Fergie. Yeah, that actually brings me on to my point that really frustrated me was his lineup, the way he set out to play for the first half. Why is he playing Giggs? Giggs isn't one of those players that's going to play 30 games. He shouldn't be playing 30 games during the season. He's one of those players. Is a novelty. You should bring on when you're winning 2-0, 3-0, and you just you want to give him appearances there, here and there, not
Well,
someone
the
that's not.
the excuse Ferguson uses is, experience and everything, but you shouldn't. It's not important in a game like Tottenham at home. I don't think I can understand it for the Liverpool game. It needed a calm head, and that nearly cost us. But I can understand his selection there. But picking gigs at home to Tottenham when you've got players like Anderson and Cleverley on the bench is it's just ridiculous, really. I mean, he got it wrong,
Yeah,
basically.
he evidently got it wrong, and to back it up, he brought on Rooney, instant impact, looked brilliant throughout the game on the second half. Nearly got us back into drawing the game. Personally, if we come back and drew, sorry, I think that would have been a fair reflection, but on the whole of the game and the way we played, I think Tottenham deserved it. It just has to be considered.
There's no doubt that Tottenham deserved it. I mean, they ripped us to shreds in the first half. I
Yeah.
mean, the defense was Rio. He got a lot of the blame for the Bale goal, but I don't think there's a centre half in the Premier League that could have kept it with Gareth Bale. To be quite
Well,
honest.
yeah, if you just watch a run by Defoe for that goal, he makes such a good run. He crosses over the centre backs. Any centre back in the world is going to be fooled by that run. He had to go and follow Defoe and that left Rio with Bale. Bale's always going to win. It doesn't matter. Apart from, I can only think of a couple of defenders that would really give him a good run for his money. But why are we in that position? You just got to consider these things, and really frustrated me, especially when City had won 2-1 against Fulham the other day
I
before.
mean, City showed a lot to come back from 1-0 down in that game, and it
Wait,
put the pressure on us in a way, and we didn't respond.
hmm. So yeah, I'm not going to go into too much depth about that. Do you want to talk any more about that, or do you
I
want to?
think everything that needs to be said has been said. Really, I mean, bad selection, a poor start, basically, and it cost us.
Yeah, and following this last night, which would have been Tuesday night, was against is it FC Cluj?
FC Cluj, I think.
Yeah, Cluj. We did actually lose the lead once again, 1-0. We come back to win 2-1. Good goals by Van Persie. What was your thoughts on the game in whole?
Well, I think it was a lot like the Spurs game at the beginning. Pretty poor start. It
Hmm.
wasn't terrible, but I mean, ever on their goal. I mean, I don't know how he can defend it. It was just poor. It's ever all over really. But I think after that we really picked up, and I actually think it was our best performance of the season so far after that goal. Um,
Yeah, it j- Van Persie basically saved our bacon there.
the second time.
Yeah. Uh, when we were 1-0 down, you thought it was going to be one of those games where they're just going to sit back. They did sit back, but you thought it was going to be one of those gritty 1-0s, and
It reminded me of the Basel game last season when they scored. I just thought it was going to be that all over again.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
we 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 looked solid. We just we lacked that little bit of class in the first half, definitely. Two. Well, actually, the second goal by Van Persie, what a quality ball by
that
Rooney. Um,
Where I mean, Rooney and Van Persie look like they're just going to be perfect together.
mm,
Going off that game last night.
yeah, definitely. Um, and also that marked the official return of Fletcher, you could say. Do you think he could be pivotal in our season, or do you kind of not
I,
really?
I think if he can stay fit, then I think he could be one of our most important players because he's the only player in our squad that can, be that breaker up of play. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else that can really do that to the extent that Fletcher does it. So yeah, I think he's going to be a big player if he stays fit.
Yeah, I just always like link back to the games he played against Chelsea like 2, 3 years ago. He was so influential. He scored in a couple of the games I believe, and he was like the dynamo in the midfield. Bit cliche there, but he was the kind of the experienced one out of the trio last night as well. You had Anderson and Cleverly. Cleverly, brilliant game as well. But Fletcher kind of supported them quite well, and I thought they complemented each other pretty good. Hopefully, I don't mean it in a bad way, but I hope that keeps Giggs out of the team for a fair amount of time. You know, you don't need him. He's not going to leave. He's not going to get unhappy. He's not going to leave the club. So use the other players that perhaps are more likely to leave without first team football. So yeah, and
Well,
I think Evra should go.
yeah, I mean Fletcher saved Evra's bacon numerous times last night. He was tracking back to left back. No wonder he looked shattered at the end, but Evra was all over the place. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen against Newcastle against Ben Arfa if Evra starts because in this form, Ben Arfa will have a field day.
Interestingly, someone who someone on Twitter, I can't remember their username, but they did stating putting Butner on the left back position and putting Evra at left mid. I know because he's just incompetent of playing in defence anymore. He doesn't know how to play the offside trap. He's always lagging behind. When he's tracking back, he's got 50% effort.
Uh,
He's the ideal winger, more
yeah,
like.
I've heard it a lot before. People suggesting Evra at left mid, even a few years ago, and I can see it working because going forward, there's never been any doubt that Evra is magnificent going forward. It's
Mm,
always his defensive ability that lets him down. I mean, it could work. I don't think it'll happen. I think if that does happen, it'll be the other way around. Butner on the left wing and Evra still at left back. But you never know.
yeah. Um. Well, our arch rival City have got a big game against Dortmund tonight in about an hour or so whilst we're recording this now. What is your prediction and kind of general thoughts on the game?
You can only really see City winning, I think. Um,
Do you really think that? Or I really sense a draw.
I was thinking that. I don't think Dortmund are going to win. I don't think they can go there and win. Um, there's no doubt that Dortmund are one of the best sides in Europe, but I can't see them beating City at the
That
Etihad.
there's a reason why they've kept Bayern Munich at bay
So
from
that's
winning the
true.
Bundesliga
Yeah,
for a long 2 years now, I think it is.
yeah, they've won it twice in the last 2 years. I
They
think
they've lost Kagawa, but
they've lost Kagawa, but they've replaced him with some player in what is it,
Rez,
Rouge?
no Rez.
I think I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah, I know who
they've
you mean.
replaced him in he's a top player. I saw his goal at the weekend, and he can strike a ball. Let me tell you
Oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they haven't. They've got immense banks of talent. They've got a pretty young side. That could, I think that will benefit them during the whole hectic season, especially their group that they've got in Champions League. I think they'll set up to win the game, but as it progresses, I think a draw will be taken by them. You know, they'll want that by open arms, and they won't
Well,
really.
Dortmund actually remind me of United in the early days, and there's no way they're going to go there and try and defend for 90 minutes and fend City off. I think they're going to go to try and win like United always do, like the top teams always do. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how Company, who I think has been pretty average so far this season, be interesting to see how he does.
So, Connor, have you got any questions from your Twitter followers?
I have. I've got one. At Aaron Sohal on Twitter said, "Will Vidic and Rio play consistently beyond this season?" What do you think about that one?
Do I think Rio and Vidic will play consistently past the
Beyond
season?
this season,
No.
yeah.
I'm gonna put it bluntly. I really don't. see them being together for much longer. Um, I, I definitely I feel that playing Johnny Evans and Vidic is more of a suitable option. Simply because Rio just he doesn't he's very on and off at the moment. Let's put it that way. I really don't see him as a extensive partnership beyond this season. I think that playing him, even this season, he looks a little bit out of shape. Yes, he did have a good game against Liverpool, but you compare it to the games against Tottenham, against Cluj, against other teams this season. I just haven't seen that much that's convinced me that he is still you know, our best pairing that we have in the squad. What are your thoughts?
But it's a difficult one because they're both aging. They're both, I think, Rio's 33 and Vidic is 30 now. So they're not. It's not going to be a long time if they do. It all depends on the fitness. I mean, obviously Vidic is struggling with his fitness, and so is Rio actually. I think, and now I heard on Twitter the other day that Rio's actually his contract expires in the summer, and apparently there's no talks. I'm going now. I could be completely wrong on that one, but apparently there's been no talks. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets a renewal if that's the case.
Do you
I think
do you see him leaving the club on him is an own omission, or do you see it as a kind of a decision made by people above him, Ferguson,
well,
etc.?
there's been a lot of talk of him wanting to go to America, aren't there? You know, doing a Beckham if you like, which would suit him at his age. I mean, 33. He's not young anymore, but he's still a top class centre back. And I think if Vidic and Rio are both fit, which admittedly isn't very often, but if they are, they're both going to play together because they're, in my opinion anyway, they're both our best centre backs individually and together.
Yeah, I the good thing about Rio, the good word I would put in for him is that he hasn't always reliant on his pace. He hasn't relied on it in his career. It hasn't been one of his major factors. It's been his positional play and his, kind of zonal marking or whatever you want to call it.
I think in the
He's
in the
very
early
clever.
days he was a fast centre back. You know, he was really fast, but over time he's adapted his game and he's realised that he's not fast, if you like, anymore. And he's, as you say, positional play. He's worked on that, and he's worked on other aspects, and that's how he's prolonged his career. You know, because I think if he didn't, he wouldn't be here right now. I think he'd have gone.
Yeah,
So
I think his case of him leaving more, in my opinion, is down to the fact of the incompetence of Evra as well. I really think because he's on his side of the pitch, kind of thing.
Evra won't last much longer. I don't think.
No, I think
I
him and
honestly think.
Evra, I can't see past this end of the season personally.
I can't see Evra here at this time next year. Rio possibly. Evra, with Bootner, if he can continue to impress, then I think I could see Evra being moved out and Bootner being first choice, and then Fabio returning from loan, and you know him being the cover left back, if you like.
Yeah, I have to say, Raphael has
Oh.
very, very impressed me.
He's probably been our best defensive player, defender and goalkeeper.
The way
I think
he's just worked on so much. It's like the way after that Bayern Munich game, the 3-2 one where we lost at home.
hmm
After that, I knew he would come back stronger and better, more matured, and he's proved it. He's definitely looking a lot more brighter in his attack when attacking. Um, you know, Positional play as well, like Rio, has got better. Maybe it's just because he's got older and he's kind of grown up a bit.
I think the
Um,
Olympics have done him the world of good, to be honest. Being around, you know, being around the likes of Marcelo, who in my opinion is the best left back in the world.
yeah, it's
Right, I
kind of
think he's learned a lot from him, and
given him like a different aspect to look at of his game, and he's kind of realised that he's got to improve, otherwise it wouldn't have got any better for him. So
well, it's just been announced about half an hour ago, as we're recording this, that he won the Player of the Month for September. So you know,
yeah,
it's not easy to win that really,
no, it's not
especially when you've got Van Persie scoring, what is it, 6 goals in 7 games or whatever it is. So
exactly. So
he's done really well so far.
yeah. So should we talk about, well, as we're on the topic kind of Van Persie, what have been your views on him at the moment as a whole, and has he been worth the 24 million that we've gone out and paid, which was
Oof.
considered quite a lot.
I think he's been a superstar. I mean, he scored, I think it's 7 goals in 6 starts.
Yeah, it is.
So, that's an unbelievable record for somebody that's just joined the club. There's a lot of money being, in the fee and everything, 24 million. But I think he's worth every penny of that so far, and he's only going to get better when he, develops this relationship with Rooney, when he, just gets more settled. I think he's well on course to get 30 goals or more this season if he can carry on and stay fit.
Yeah, basically I agree with that. Absolute prolific striker. He does exactly what he says on the tin. We got what we paid for. We wanted goals from him. We got goals from him. What else do you expect from a striker? And he's done it. He doesn't need to rely on other parts of his game to, prove to the critics or whatever.
Hmm.
24 million is nothing if we go and win the title and perhaps, the Champions League. Gauging on last night's game and the Galatasaray, no, I don't see us winning the Champions League, but you only have to look at Chelsea's start of the group stages last season.
Mm.
So,
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, in 2010-11 when we got to the final, in my opinion, that season was one of the worst United sides. I say worst, but it's one of the not as good United sides in a good few years, and we still got to the final and we put up a good fight in the final. So anything's possible. I
yeah,
mean,
I don't. We're playing okay. We're just not at the tempo where we can really attack the big sides and get a grind a result out. So it'll be interesting to
that's
play.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when you look at other big sides in Europe like the Barcelonas and Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, when you look at our strikers, we're as good as them. When you look at our defence, maybe not, but we're not far away from them. In midfield, they're a different class in midfield compared to us,
Yeah,
and that's the worrying thing.
yeah, it is quite a worry. I don't know. We will get better. We're always that kind of team that we start slow in the season anyway. So it is looking positive at the moment. We got 6 out of 6. Sorry, 6 points out of 2 games in the Champions League, and we've got 2 defeats in the Premier League, which I consider quite bad. Um,
That's not great, but
considering how many games did we lose last season? Wasn't it 3 or 4
I
in the
think
whole of it?
so. I'm not
So
sure.
you could argue that we just new players, we didn't really make that many introductions, last season.
Well, I
So
think for the Everton game, we were playing with one centre back effectively who was coming back from 10 months out against like Fellaini and Jelavic. So I think you can let him off for that one. I mean, it's the Spurs game. There's no excuses. It was just a poor performance, but
mm. But
I'm still optimistic.
it just annoyed me about that Everton game though because of Rooney being quite unfit for that game,
Mm.
considering he had enough time to get himself built up. But perhaps, well, this leads on to our next kind of topic, is him getting that gash on his was it his knee or his leg?
Oh, I think.
Yeah. That is basically really motivated him. He's probably been watching Van Persie and thinking, you know, I need to improve to stay in this team, or I need to really, show that I can do something.
Mm.
It's not just a Van Persie show. Rooney has an equal class as Van Persie.
Well,
They play differently, but they're both world class. They're both at the same level. I consider them. When Rooney's on top form, he is one of the best strikers in the world.
I think he's one of the best players in the world when he's on form.
Yeah,
I
because he
mean,
can.
all round, he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, because he can drop back to midfield, and he's very versatile. That's the word I'm looking
Hmm.
for. Um, but yeah, he looked good in the second half against Spurs, and he looked quite good against Cluj. Yeah, so I don't. I think he'll get better. I don't think we should sell him.
Oh,
I don't.
definitely
I
not.
don't
I
get.
mean,
I
those
don't.
suggestions are ridiculous.
I don't get the people. Well, shall I say the names on Twitter? But like
Uh,
Office Monkey. Um, he says he wants Rooney out of the club just because he wanted to leave. Doesn't mean he wanted to leave because he felt he could get better chances of winning trophy somewhere else, or he was unloyal.
in my
It
honest
was the
opinion,
fact of It was the fact of getting more money.
Yeah,
That was that.
that's exactly it.
He
Yeah,
just wanted the new deal. That was all it was.
that's exactly it.
So
I
once
mean,
he,
there's a lot of reports that he was close to joining City, but whether he was or he wasn't, he was after more money. I mean, the fact that he accused the club of a lack of ambition is ridiculous because that season they won they won the Premier League and got to the Champions League final.
yeah,
So
it's just a play on words kind of thing. It's probably written from his agent. Rooney probably didn't even read it through. Kind of just regretted it afterwards, thinking, hold on, it's gonna have a knock-on effect on my
mm,
kind of thing. But I think he's very, very. I think he'll have a very influential season this season.
well, he looks fit again. I mean, as you mentioned earlier in the Everton game, he just looks sluggish. I think it was 8 pounds overweight when he got back from his holiday in the summer, and he looks fit again. Basically, it's given him time. This injury, it's given him time to work on his fitness again because he apparently he could still run and things. He just couldn't, do intense work. So it gave him an opportunity, and in a way, I think it's probably done him a lot of good. Obviously, you wouldn't want him to get injured. It'd be better if he didn't, but
Yeah,
now he looks the real deal alongside Van Persie, and it'll be interesting to see how they're both used with Kagawa, hopefully.
yeah. I'm just glad Van Persie isn't another Torres. So, I think if we win the Premier League with that money we spent, that's peanuts, nothing. I think Rooney definitely going to work together. So yeah. Have we got any other topics we want to speak about?
I don't think so.
No. If right, hold on. If you could pick the centre midfielders to start against Newcastle this weekend, who would you pick and why?
Should have just do my whole team.
All right, go through your whole team.
De Gea,
Mhm.
wonderful against Cluj. You can't drop him after that. Raphael, for obvious reasons. Rio, Johnny Evans, Bootner. Bootner just because Evra he looks completely out of form. I'm not saying drop Evra for good. It's just give him a bit of a break. He looked quite tired actually against Cluj. So Bootner, and then I'd go with the same as what we did last night, which is maybe not Fletcher. I'd put Scholes, Anderson, and Cleverley with Kagawa just in front and Rooney and Van Persie.
I
Yourself?
would I would go with a 4-4-1-1, but I would drop Kagawa to the wing.
Hmm.
I'd play Rooney and Van Persie above in front of him. I'd play the same defence as you. And then on the wing, I would have Valencia on the other side, and then Kagawa. And then in midfield, I would have Cleverley and Anderson. I think Fletcher should come on. I'm not sure about Scholes. My opinion, I think he's kind of in the same situation. Yes, he can put his stamp on the game and can be very, he dictates the play, but you need to keep him fit for the more bigger games. I still don't consider Newcastle, although they finished, was it fifth or sixth? I,
Yeah.
I still consider them as not a bigger game, and it's kind of a game that we should be using the team that we're going to use more in the future. That's what I'm
I
trying to.
I actually disagree with that. I think Scholes, as you say, should be saved for the big games, and I think Newcastle away anyway is a big game because I think it was 3-0 last season, which that's poor. That shouldn't be happening, and
But do you consider it a big game because of the fact that we lost 3-0, or because you simply consider Newcastle a big team?
I I think both. Any team that finishes fifth and above Chelsea is a big team. I think.
Could you just say Chelsea's form was literally down to Villas-Boas's?
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean,
Because with Di Matteo at the helm from the start of the season, I could have easily seen them finish above Newcastle.
oh, I think they could have won the league if they kept with if they started the season with Di Matteo. But yeah.
So yeah, we
Score
agree.
predictions.
I'm gonna go
It's a tough
for a
one.
2-1 United with Kagawa to score first.
I will go with 2-0 United
Okay.
with Rooney to score first.
Interesting. So,
Optimistic.
right, so you got 2-0 and we got 2-1. Right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this weekly Fergie Time podcast with me and Connor. If you did, be sure to click that little like button on YouTube. It only takes 1 second. Also, if you have any predictions, of course, for the Newcastle game, be sure to put them in the comments section below. And if you want to be prepared for next week's episode without having to find a link from us on Twitter, um, which incidentally our tags are at Red Heart United, which is for Connor, and at Vision for Skulls for me. You can send in your predictions for the Newcastle game. So without further ado, goodbye from me.
And goodbye from